welcome now Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky. He's ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. So, Mr. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, all of our hearts go out to those poor people on the ground in Afghanistan. We don't want to just ignore that. At the same time, there are broader ramifications, and I'm wondering about what this will mean to the Biden administration in its initiatives on Capitol Hill.
Well, this is certainly a bad day for Joe Biden. Any momentum he had, any honeymoon period he had from the beginning of his presidency to try to pass this major initiative that he's pushing through in the form of infrastructure and more government spending, I think took a huge bump in the road. They were already having trouble with 9 moderates in the House. And as you know, Pelosi could only lose 5 votes in the House for a bill to pass in a partisan manner. So I think that today, as a result of Biden's failure in Afghanistan, I think you're going to see the Biden administration have a lot harder time in passing an infrastructure bill through the House and certainly a budget reconciliation bill through the Senate.
So you know the way the Congress works in a way I never will. Is there a chance could it have a rebound effect in the sense that the Democratic caucus, of course you're not a member of that caucus, but the Democratic caucus will feel they have to rally around their president because he is being besieged?
Well, you would think that possibly, but when you look at what's going on in America right now, you have a Biden border crisis. There's absolutely no security on the southern border. You have what happened over the last 48 hours in Afghanistan, which is the worst thing that I've seen in my lifetime from an American security standpoint. And then you go throw in inflation. You throw in the Biden energy policy that's not putting America in a very good place from an energy standpoint, this excessive government spending. And there's really nothing Joe Biden has going for him right now other than he had decent approval ratings. But that was prior to the last 48 hours and the disaster in Afghanistan.
Did President Biden have much of a choice really here? I mean, as he points out, there was an agreement that was entered into by the prior president, President Trump, to draw down the troops by May 1. We have overwhelming, I think, support for withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan from Republicans and Democrats here in the United States. Did he have much leeway really to make a different decision?
No, I think he made the right decision to withdraw the troops. I've always been a supporter of withdrawing the troops. I've been in Congress 4.5 years. And that was one of the things I campaigned on, that I supported getting our troops out of Afghanistan. But you have to have a plan. And that's what my biggest problem with Joe Biden's been in the first 7 months is, what is his plan? What is his plan on trade? What is his plan on energy? What is his plan on securing the border? He has no plan. And what we saw yesterday was his plan was apparently to let the Afghan security forces try to control the perimeter of Kabul. And when that didn't happen, normally a commander-in-chief has a plan B, and he didn't have a plan B. And, you know, the unthinkable happened. So I don't think that from a policy position, he had much choice. He had to withdraw the troops. That's the will of most Americans. That was the will of most members of Congress. But we all expected the United States and the amount of money we spend on our military, the fact that we have the most superior military in the world, we expected us to be able to withdraw the troops and all those Afghanis that we promised refuge, that we would be able to withdraw them without any problems whatsoever. And this is just an embarrassment. It's a huge blow to the morale of our military. It hurts our standing on the world stage. It gives us less credibility as we try to negotiate a better trade deal with China. And it's just a sad day in the history of America.
So where did we go wrong here, in your opinion, Mr. Congressman? Because it's pretty clear how rapidly that government dissolved, that there wasn't much of a support for it to begin with, long before Joe Biden came to office. You know, there's been 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans who were president over this. Was it just wrong-headed to begin with to think that we could really stabilize that country?
It was wrong to begin with. We've all studied history. No country has been able to go in there and control Afghanistan. We never should have gone in there to begin with. But from a original strategic standpoint, our troops made a huge difference there. We killed Osama bin Laden. We destroyed an untold number of terror cells. There hasn't been an attack on American soil since September 11th, since we deployed troops to Afghanistan. So our troops made a huge difference, and they should be very proud of that. But as far as nation building, we just can't do that. You know, Afghanistan's not like Europe. You know, you can't have a Marshall Plan and go in there and rebuild Afghanistan. And I think that that's a mistake that previous presidents have made, and I hope we don't make that mistake in the future. But the biggest mistake that Joe Biden made was apparently thinking that with the 19 years of training that the United States had provided this Afghan security force with the billions and trillions of dollars we spent over there, that they would actually fight back, and they didn't. And that was a big miscalculation.
Well, let's talk about that miscalculation.
Joe Biden.
Let's talk about that miscalculation, because it seems right now to me from the outside and early on, there's an intelligence failure here. How could we not have known that they were as vulnerable as they were? What is the role of Congress and all that? You're ranking member of the Oversight Committee. Are we going to have investigations, or are we going to try to figure out what went wrong?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, we're getting pretty frustrated with the intelligence community. It's just not been a good relationship between Congress and the intelligence community for at least 5 years now. And you could go back even further to that when the intelligence community said there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The intelligence community has had some pretty big misses. And now what we're learning over the last 24 hours is that it apparently many of the generals and leaders in the Taliban government, who the United States has been subsidizing and working with for the past 2 decades, were bribed by Taliban officials. How did our intelligence community not know that? How was there no suspicion that this could happen? I don't think there's anyone in Congress that really believed that the government would be able to hang on much longer when the presence of the United States troops left. But I don't think anybody realized that the main leaders would flee, and the Afghani security force, which had superiority from a weaponry standpoint, would take off running when the Taliban starts rolling in on little Toyota trucks with guns and slingshots. I mean, it's a disgrace and another black eye in our intelligence community.
Congressman, thank you so very much for being with us today. That's Representative James Comer, Republican of Kentucky.